Well, actually, everybody knows about this. It happened right after we finished the live stream last week. The whole Ouzo Bay controversy thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that. That was interesting.
Did you watch the video ever?
I did. Pretty damning.
Mm-hmm. Damning is the word. And I will say the one thing about that was that manager was like the worst at dealing with that situation I've ever seen in my life. Like
he
must
have missed the Zoom meeting.
How to deal with racial accusations. He he was like doing everything that would make you think that like it was what it was. Like he was like, I'm sorry that you feel this way.
Yeah, it's like
I understand that you're upset. It's like, dude, what are you doing, bro? It was so stupid.
Yeah.
And so I play for them, and I got this email. I actually got a Facebook message, a long Facebook message from this dude that I'd never met before, but he's like a classical musician that plays there because Atlas has like a bunch of different locations and they have a bunch of different performers that play there, and some of the like classier ones don't have dudes like me who drink and play Matchbox 20. They have dudes that play like the cello and shit and stuff like that. So this guy messaged me and was like, we need to do something about this, blah, 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 blah. And he started this Facebook group, this private Facebook group, and he invited like all the musicians to. And I went to it, and not really much was going on. I think everybody was kind of tepid a little bit. That he was like, we didn't invite corporate, we didn't invite anybody that works there. We just like, this is just musicians, blah, blah, blah. And I went to it, and I just kind of let it sit for a bit because I was thinking like, I'm gonna see if anybody's like actually discussing anything right now, because I don't want to be like the first person to say something and then just get fucking like I wanted to see what the vibe was within the group, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it looked like it was just mainly these two guys that are kind of running it, and they drafted up this petition of sorts that it was just it was like I wanted to be behind what they were saying, but at the same time it like I didn't sign it. I didn't sign it because it was like they took it to this level that was like beyond what I thought was appropriate. Because I'll be honest, my personal experience playing there, and this isn't because of anything money related. If I never play there again, that'll be fine. It has nothing to do with money related. But I've played there in the past where my cousin came to go see me play at Chop Tank. My cousin Joe. Actually, I don't know which cousin it was because I didn't recognize the number, but he was like, "Yo, it's your cousin. I'm coming to see you play."
He had the mask on. You couldn't tell.
Yeah, this was actually I think last fall he came to see me at Chop Tank.
Okay, yeah.
And he walked up to the door and he texted me right. I was like, they wouldn't let me in because they said I was wearing these boots or something like that. And I was like, what the fuck? He was like, yeah, man, I told them I was trying to see you, but they were like, nah, I can't come in because I'm wearing these boots. Like, that's so stupid. And I was like, yeah, but that's their policy or whatever. And then also myself personally, I played there at Lock Bar actually I was playing with Joe, the other guy in my band. We played during the Ravens Titans playoff game this past January. And I showed up in a Ravens jersey, which kind of makes sense, obviously. And they told me I had to take it off in order to perform, and I was a performer. Mm-hmm. And so I've had the dress code affect me. I've had the dress code affect people around me. It was never my interpretation that it was done so in a racial manner. I will say that I spoke about how the Zoom meeting that we did the past week, where we had to do that 1 hour Zoom meeting or whatever, and this person got on, they told us all this shit they were going to do and all these precautions and policies that we had to follow and everything like that. And then I showed up and I was nervous about it. I told her I was like literally nervous to play that gig because I was so scared that I was going to fuck something up because it seemed like it was me so strict. And then I showed up and virtually, I mean, they abided by precautions, but it was like all the same precautions that every restaurant goes by, like, except for the fact that they checked our temperature at the door. That was like the one thing that they did differently. Everything else was like pretty much normal. Like, yeah, people, like the servers wore masks. The customers had to wear a mask if they got up from their table, but if they were sitting at the table, it was fine. But like all the other shit that they were saying, like performers might have to wear gloves or maybe even wear masks when they're singing, it was like none of that shit came into effect. And so it was like all these policies that were not followed, basically. And so when I first saw that video at Ouzo Bay, my immediate thought was like, damn, first of all, it was like, so because the manager handled it so poorly, it really did make it look like that was what was going on. But and I'm not saying that that's not what's going on. I'm just saying I don't personally believe, in my experience working for them, that they were literally like, oh, well, this is a black family, we're not letting him in. I have a hard time believing that, especially considering that I play at a location like Lock Bar, where over sometimes more than half of the clientele in there are black. It would be hard for me to imagine that this restaurant group is actively discriminating against black people. Meanwhile, when I play at a lot of their locations, it's predominantly black. You know, it's just a weird cognitive thing for me. What I would say, and what I think happens, and I think part of the issue is that, because I worked in restaurants for a long time, and I work in restaurants as I worked in restaurants as a server and a bartender for a long time, and I work in restaurants now 5-6 days a week as a performer. So I'm familiar with the culture and the bartenders and how everybody works and things like that. And to me, when I saw that video, I immediately thought, one family walks in, and you walk in, and there's some 22-year-old hostess at the stand texting, something like that. Let's say the white family walks in, 22-year-old hostess sitting at the stand texting, blah, 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 blah. And she looks up and says, oh, you guys have a reservation? Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, your table's right this way. And she's mid-talking to some fuckboy on her phone and walks over, takes him to the table, sits him down. She doesn't give a fuck about the dress code. She's not enforcing it. Then another family walks in, and perhaps they get sat by a manager who does enforce a dress code. Now you're dealing with somebody who, because not everybody, the same way that they didn't enforce the COVID policies, these dress code policies are only as strong as the people enforcing them. Yeah. So what happens is you walk in, one person gets sat by a person who doesn't give a flying fuck. Like, I worked in bars for how long and didn't even card people because I didn't give a shit?
Yeah.
Even though
that was the same thing at the movie theater. It was like they had somewhat of a dress code, or like they had whatever rules of letting people in, or like not having bags or whatever. But like, I don't know. If I saw someone and they weren't observing the dress code, but like I could tell that it's like, oh no, there's just like a dude that wants to see a movie. Yeah. I'm not going to fucking be a dick. Cause it's exactly like at that, cause like, you know, you're just losing money by turning away like a good customer.
Mm-hmm. And
I don't know. It's also a thing too where it's like, it's a fucking kid. Yeah. It's a kid. Who cares? Like, kids don't have fucking suits and shit. Like, you didn't just take the baby to Lacoste on a shopping trip for fucking COVID clothes. Like, come on. Who cares? That's the thing. I think dress codes are going to severely change after COVID. I think, especially me, but I know a lot of other people are getting very comfortable just living in track pants.
Yeah, exactly. I've worn gym shorts to the bars like most nights. I don't even care anymore. I used to actually like focus on like, okay, do I look semi-presentable? I don't even care anymore.
It used to be just jeans all day, every day.
Yeah, yeah.
No matter what.
Well, the issue that I guess I'm getting at is that if you're going to be a restaurant that's going to enforce a dress code, and like you said, the movie theater had a dress code. Places that I've worked at had dress codes. They had certain standards that they expected you to adhere to if you wanted to patronize that establishment. But then again, then you also have people like you and me who use our own discretion. And so we're like, it's a fucking kid. Am I really going to make a scene? They're obviously out for a family breakfast. Like, I'm not going to make a deal because a kid's wearing gym shorts, you know? But another guy working on that shift, the fucking do-gooder manager who's like, we do everything, blah, 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 he might enforce that rule. And then all of a sudden...
But obviously he didn't. Like, or maybe he wasn't around when that other kid got let in.
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Because, it's just like, I think at the end of the day, it's just a fucking bad look.
That's what I'm saying. It's a bad look, but I really don't... Look... If I believed that Atlas was a racist establishment, I wouldn't play there.
And to be clear, like, this is probably, it all comes down on this one dude. I don't think he's upholding any sort of strict guidelines from the restaurant to be like, do not let black children in.
Of course not. Of course not.
I think this dude just had a weird fucking, he just had a bad read
Yeah.
of the
He
situation.
clearly had a bad read. He had a bad read of the situation. He had a bad read on how
But
to handle
also
the
it's
situation.
Like, yeah, but also like I don't know. Should that guy be in charge of those calls? I don't know.
Well, he's fired. He's been fired.
Yeah.
And like, you know, he was at first suspended indefinitely, but then he was fired. And I like, look, I feel bad for that guy because I don't think he's a bad dude either. I just think he was doing what he thought was his job, but he did it poorly. He did it poorly. If you're in that situation, like if that was myself personally and I decided I want to enforce a dress code, which I probably wouldn't have in that situation, but let's say I was like a corporate like do-gooder and I decided to enforce a dress code and then they immediately point out that there's another family and they're not abiding by the dress code, I'd have been like, oh shit, you're right. You know what? I didn't even see that. I didn't even seat that table. I'm so sorry about that. You know what? We'll make an exception this time. How about you have a seat over here? We got a table for you over here. Something like that to make it feel like, because in the alternative to that was literally him looking over there, seeing that there was a white family in there that wasn't abiding by a dress code, and then maintaining that, but also, and then trying to say like, well, it's the socks, or it's like, dude, you already know that you fucked up, that somebody in that chain of command fucked up and allowed somebody else to slide, and now it looks like something that is not only a terrible look for you, but a terrible look for the corporation, and a good manager should know how to handle that. And that guy did an awful fucking job of handling it. But the thing that we're supposed to extrapolate from that or take from that as a broad narrative is that Atlas Restaurant Groups is actively training people to discriminate against certain races of people. And I really honestly don't believe that. Because like I said, if I believed that, I wouldn't play there. I wouldn't. And that's what kind of frustrated me about a lot of the musicians that drafted that petition was like, dude, if you really believe this is a racist, hateful establishment, why do you continue cashing your checks here? Like, why are you willing to draft up this petition, but you're not willing to take a hit to your own pocket? You'll continue to play there your residency every Wednesday night because it's a good payout, but then you want to go on there and make up some petition and act like you're a do-gooder, even though you're part of the system. I wouldn't participate in that system if that's what I thought they were doing. And that's what kind of annoyed me. And in that petition, they were saying, like, we want you to abolish dress codes, which is another thing I don't agree with. I personally, if you're going to have a dress code, the only thing I would say is you need to make sure that you enforce the fuck out of that. So there's no question on if this person might be able to slide with it or that person might be able to slide because, oh yeah, he works next door, we're all cool with him, we all party with him afterward, he can come in this thing, but like nobody else can. If you're going to have a dress code, you need to make that a primary thing in training, that I don't give a fuck if it's your grandmother. If she's not wearing what the fuck you need to wear to get in here, she's not getting in here. Because I think that's an important aspect of maintaining a certain ambiance in a restaurant. You know, when I show up to a restaurant and somebody says, dude, you need to take off that jersey, I don't go, well, this is fucking bullshit. I go, okay, well, yeah, okay, clearly you have rules and I'm trying to eat here, and if I want to eat here, I need to play by your rules. That makes sense to me. And that's a good thing if you're trying to maintain an ambiance. My brother works at Roost Chris, and he and about, I think, 4 or 5 other servers all submitted their resignation this week because that restaurant stopped abiding by the dress codes. They stopped enforcing the rules, and it caused this environment where, like, now people go to certain restaurants expecting a certain type of environment. If I go out to Roost Chris Steakhouse and take my 16-year-old daughter out for dinner for graduation, I expect a certain type of environment. I'm paying a bunch of money. I want to see people that I want to feel like I'm in an environment that is worth that money when I'm paying $60 for a steak. I don't want people in there with ripped jeans and hats and shit like that. I get that. And when I was younger, I didn't really quite understand that. It was just, and the other thing that I will say in Atlas's defense, again, this isn't me. Like I said, if I never play there, I've only been playing there the past year. This is just my personal opinion. I think that the thing that frustrates me, as much as can be said about that restaurant group, they are a corporation that is investing in this city. And there's not a lot of corporations that are willing to do that. There's not a lot of big businesses that are coming in and building things up and bringing people in the way they are doing it. And it's kind of frustrating to see that it seems like all they ever get is flack. I get that they do things that are fucked up, that appear fucked up, or they're not consistent with the rules and things like that. But for me to have signed that petition and basically said, like, this is a bad organization, we don't agree with its policies, you need to abolish the dress codes, you need to do all this stuff, I was like, dude, I wish that you could have made this petition less about like you and your own personal shit that you want to like voice out because you're trying to fucking make yourself seem like this awesome dude, and instead just draft up a thing that's reasonable. Like, hey dude, we respect your policies, but like, You need to get on top of your fucking game if you're going to have them. Because if you're going to have a dress code like that and enforce it, you need to fucking enforce it. I don't know. That's just my opinion.
No, that's real.
I mean, is that what you got? What did you think from that whole situation?
I mean, yeah, I mean, kind of just what I was saying earlier, where it's like, I don't think he maliciously was like, from direct orders from his manager at the restaurant, like, do not, under any circumstances, let little black boys or girls into the restaurant and spend their money on our food. We don't want to make any money off of black children. I think this dude, goody two-shoe manager, maybe he was looking for some extra brownie points and was like, what can I fucking do today? If there's a light load, I'm going to be on my P's and Q's, and I'm going to just be strict about every fucking little thing. Maybe some server called in sick or whatever, and he's like, fuck, now we're down someone, and he's pissed off, and he's like, let me get my aggression out by being a fucking power-hungry dude.
Yeah.
I just think, I don't know. I mean, it definitely would have been a different thing if that other kid in there wasn't there. If that other kid leaving the table with the basketball shorts wasn't there, I don't think there would have been an issue. But, like, it's just fucking plain as day.
Yeah, it was the perfect cocktail of everything that could go wrong.
It's like it looked staged. Like, it almost looked staged. Like, how fucking bad it was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, well, I did have that thought, and then I was like, probably not. That would be too big of a conspiracy. I don't think it was staged, but it was that ridiculous that I was like, holy shit. But yeah, I don't know. That was just a pressing thing that I saw happen this week that I thought was just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate, because I think that, this might be a controversial statement, but I think that they are a net positive for the city. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, I've had like food at one of their restaurants. It was good.
Yeah,
like they're doing good things for the Baltimore food scene. I think. I mean, but they're the big dog right now, and everyone's going to be coming for the big dog.
Yeah,
no matter what. That's just what happens when you're the big dog.
And that's that. I mean, there's nothing that explains Baltimore better than me. I remember Ace Matthews is on the podcast, one of our first podcasts, episode 22. And she said, this city is like crabs in a bucket. Everyone's fighting to get to the top of the bucket, but we're all getting eaten. And that's what I see going on here. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, dude. So hopefully, they had this, and here's the other thing that pissed me off. They pushed it and they were like, okay, we're going to have this like round table, and it's going to be Tuesday at 2 p.m. where we're going to invite all the musicians who want to come in and voice their concerns and this, that, the other thing. And I was actually really heavily considering going and just kind of saying what I said here, even though I felt like anybody who cared enough to go was obviously going to disagree with me, because I feel like most people kind of sit where we're sitting with the whole thing. And they just looked at that and most people that I play with, because that petition, like a lot of the musicians didn't sign it. And I know every musician was asked to sign it. And I looked at all the names. There was probably about 25 names, but they have way more performers there. And a lot of the names that I recognize were not guys that I knew. And so a lot of the guys that I know didn't sign it. And so I was like, okay, I know there's a lot of guys that are kind of sitting here, guys and girls, whoever, that are sitting here thinking kind of the same thing. Like, this was a really bad look, but I don't think it is what they're saying it is. And so they decided they were gonna have like an in-person meeting, and I was like, fucking go, that'll be cool. And then they rescheduled it to literally today at noon with 2 hours notice. And they were like, and the musician gets in the group and he's like, I know it's really short notice, but the meeting's in 2 hours. I was like, bro, what the fuck? What are we doing here? How the hell do you schedule an impromptu emergency meeting 2 hours? Like, everybody, we play all over, dude. Not everybody lives downtown and shit like that. Like, I gotta fucking have some type of notice or anything like that. Like, what if I had work? Like, that was something I was about to take off of work for, because I think Alex Smith was gonna be there and those guys, and I just wanted to kind of see what the vibe was. And so I think that meeting happened today. I wonder what came as a result of that. But I just hope they do the right thing. I hope they do the right thing. And I hope that, whatever musicians said that, this is a terrible, awful institution, and they need to do all these things, and here's our list of demands. I hope that they are strong enough in their intestinal fortitude that when they don't meet those demands, to stop playing there. Because otherwise, you're full of shit. And that's all I'll say about that.